I'd like to welcome each one of you to our devotional study today. I invite you to take your Bible, come with me if you would to Daniel chapter 9. We have made it to the last 4 verses of this chapter, and these verses we are going to take our time going through because they give us a vital Bible prophecy. Matter of fact, some people come to these verses and they feel that they are too difficult or controversial to even understand. But what we are going to see as we move through these verses in the days ahead is that a careful step-by-step approach will yield a very understandable interpretation. So that being said, as we move through these 4 verses, there are 5 important things that we want to note concerning this prophecy. But before we get into those 5 things over these next few days, let's just read Daniel chapter 9, verses 24 through 27. Daniel chapter 9, verses 24 through 27. It says, 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city, to finish the transgression and to make an end of sins, and to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublesome times. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abomination she shall make it desolate even unto the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. So if you read those verses very quickly and casually, it would seem that they are difficult to understand, but we're going to take our time and look at these things step by step in light of Bible prophecy. Now, the first thing that I want us to see here is that part of this prophecy is general and part of this prophecy is detailed. Verse 24 gives us a general overview and informs us that the length of God's dealings with the Jewish people would be 70 weeks. Notice 70 weeks are determined, and notice it's the Jewish people upon thy people, that's Israel, and upon thy holy city, that is Jerusalem. So we see here that first of all, that gives us a general overview, and it informs us of the length of God's dealings with the Jewish people being 70 weeks. Now, the second thing that we need to see is that these 70 weeks that are being talked about here are actually 70 sevens of years. So each week in this prophecy equals 7 years duration. Now, why do we say that these weeks equal 7 years duration? Well, for a number of reasons. First of all, these 70 weeks could not refer to 70 literal years of captivity that was prophesied by Jeremiah, because that time was almost over. They could not be 70 literal weeks, that is 490 days or 1 year, 5 months, and 2 weeks, because the events listed to take place in this period could not or have not been fulfilled. Beyond that, the Hebrew word rendered weeks in this passage is Shaba, which literally means sevens or heptads. It means a group of 7 of anything, similar to how we would talk about a dozen of something, like a dozen eggs. Daniel would have understood this meaning to mean 70 sevens of years, because Daniel had been contemplating years at that time as we come into this chapter. Remember what it said back in Daniel chapter 9 and verse 2? It says, in the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by books the number of the years whereof the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah the prophet, that he would accomplish 70 years in the desolations of Israel. Now there, we saw that they were 70 literal years in that passage, and that they had almost come to pass. This principle of time management has precedence in prophecy. Let me just show you one example. Come back to Numbers chapter 14. Numbers chapter 14 and verse 34. Numbers 14:34 says, after the number of days in which ye search the land, even 40 days, each day for a year, shall ye bear your iniquities, even 40 years, and ye shall know my breach of promise. So there, each day equaled a year in that verse. And he says, you've searched that land for 40 days, and now he said, you will wander in the wilderness for 40 years. Now, it's important for us as we come into this to understand that this is by no means a primary principle of interpretation. This is not a be-all and end-all fact. It may only be applied when reason and evidence supports that. For example, notice a week equaling 70 years. Come back with me, if you would, to Genesis chapter 27. Or Genesis 29, rather, verse 27. Genesis 29, verse 27 says this. This is speaking of Laban speaking to Jacob and serving for Rachel. And he says, fulfill her week. Notice that, fulfill her week. And we will give thee also for the service which thou hast served with me yet 7 other years. Jacob did so. He fulfilled her week. So there's a week that equals 7 years. Then verse 30, he went in also unto Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah, and he served with him yet 7 other years. So there we see fulfill her week was literally referring to 7 years that Jacob had to work for Rachel. Also, when you look at 70 times 7, you understand that that's 490 years. And God's dealing with Israel has been in cycles of 490 years. For example, from Abraham to Canaan was 490 years. From Joshua to the kingdom was 490 years. From David to the captivity was 490 years. The week equals 7 years interpretation fix the facts of subsequent history in a remarkable way. The almost unanimous conclusion of all Bible students, whether they are premillennial, all-millennial, or post-millennial, is that the 70 weeks amounts to 490 years. So everybody's in agreement on that. So with that in mind, let's ask the question, what is a prophetic year? Very quickly as we close today. When calculating time, it is important to follow the Jewish reckoning, not what we use today. Our calendar follows a solar year of 365 and a quarter days, counting 1 year to be 365 days long with a leap year every 4th year. The Old Testament uses a lunisolar year of 12 months of 29 and a half days or 354 days. In reality, the Jewish year has 12 months of 29 and 30 days alternately, with a 30-day leap year added every 3rd, 6th, 8th, 11th, 14th, 17th, and 19th year of a 19-year cycle. So the scriptural demonstration of this reckoning may be seen by comparing Genesis 7:11 with Genesis 8:3 and 4. This shows 5 months equal to 150 days. Furthermore, a comparison of Revelation 12:6 with Revelation 13 verse 5 shows that 42 months is 1,260 days, averaging 30 days per month. And as we move through this, we will continue to look at the important things that we need to note in this chapter. I encourage you to come back with me tomorrow as we continue to look at these things. We're not going to go into another one because of the time that we have today. Have a great day.